Vienna, a city of grandeur and sophistication. And at its heart, a museum with secrets dark and strange. A family curse, an alchemist's magic, medieval special effects, and a priceless treasure that disappeared. Secrets hidden in plain sight inside Vienna's Kunsthistorisches Museum. Vienna's Kunsthistorisches Museum is the highest expression of European architecture. The perfect complement to the treasures on display. The sheer number of masterpieces is amazing. What may be more amazing is that nearly everything was once owned by one family. And we can meet them here in the picture gallery. These are the Hapsburgs, Europe's foremost ruling family for 500 years. They appear cultured, relaxed, and all-powerful, but they didn't start out that way. Back in the age of chivalry, being a Habsburg emperor wasn't easy. In this era, men in armor were not loyal soldiers, but freelance warriors who swore allegiance to whomever they chose. The highest-ranking Habsburg, Maximilian I, tried to convince knights to follow him, in part by impressing them with his armor.
Maximilian developed some of the most amazing armoring techniques. The fit and finish had never been seen before. Not only that, he took it to a level of fun. He developed facial features within the helmets that had never been seen before.
André Régnier is an historical technologist. Today he has asked curator Matthias Pfaffenbichler to show him this piece of Maximilian's armor. It is a breastplate like no other, with prominent gears and levers. Their function and purpose is unclear. André is fascinated by this strange mechanical armor and has a plan to discover its secrets.
There's never been a successful attempt to recreate Maximilian's armor. My dream, make that happen.
Matthias shares this dream. Today, he's giving André unprecedented access to examine the armor from every angle. Its exact purpose is still a mystery. Matthias and André believe that purpose has something to do with jousting. Jousting was the Middle Ages' most popular sport.
This was the football of its time, the soccer
Yes,
of
this
its day.
was the only great spectator sport, yes.
And Maximilian created the biggest spectacle of all.
Yes.
For knights, jousting was a way to prove their bravery in front of a crowd.
Both horses to combined with the armor, it's 1,500 kilos. This is like driving a small car on a concrete wall with 100 kilometers per hour, so it's an enormous force.
For Maximilian, the spectacle was a way to attract potential allies to his court.
The important thing were not the sport events in themselves, but the negotiation which took place at the same time. So he tried to get more power by winning over the knights.
Problem was, every duke in the land held his own jousting tournament.
So there was a competition between the dukes, the middle-sized rulers, and the emperor.
If Maximilian wanted to keep the crowds coming, he needed a way to pimp his joust. And that might be where this breastplate comes in. Matthias believes it once had a shield attached to it that was designed to break away on impact.
If you hit here, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
If you hit here, nothing happens. If you hit here or if you hit here, nothing happens. If you hit here, and you have to hit hard, then this mechanism is unlocked.
As soon as that was loosed,
Yes, the shield would go up into the air.
Andre intends to test this theory by recreating the breastplate, fashioning a shield, and putting them to the test in a jousting arena. His workshop near Detroit, Michigan, has all the right equipment for the job. But though he and his team start with detailed schematics, the inner workings surprise him.
I just assumed that was art.
No, there's not a lot of art here. Everything you see is the way it had to be to exist. I'm really impressed with ancient technology. Our ancestors were incredible.
This is one of the greatest challenges from historical reverse engineering that we've encountered. It is really, really very difficult.
Emperor Maximilian spent a fortune developing and perfecting new types of armor. And after 6 weeks of intensive labor, Andre knows why.
Since we left Vienna, we've had 4 major revisions where we scrapped everything. We've had 27 minor versions, which is why we call this suit number 27. We have 1,000 man-hours into just building this. I wonder how many times it took them to build the same thing.
The 15th century design is full of surprises.
We discovered that in the spring box, there are 2 little ejector springs that push the arms out. Other than that, there's nothing in the spring box.
The system will be field tested by Andre himself. Along with his passion for historic recreation, he is a champion modern-day jouster.
This suit really encumbers me. I can't move at all, actually.
The breastplate is much heavier than anything Andre has worn before.
It gained 28 pounds. I'm really concerned about safety, guys. I'm gonna tell you that right now. This makes me very front heavy. If I do come off, our ringmaster knows to call 911.
Knights of old used heavy steel-tipped lances and were often injured in high-speed collisions. Andre and his opponent opt for a safer approach, using balsa-tipped lances instead.
And we are ready to rock and roll.
In a normal jousting match, a knight scores by hitting anywhere on the body.
Here is your lance.
But to have any chance to make Andre's shield break away, his opponent will need to hit the tiny disc at the center.
Okay, I'm loaded.
Lay on!
This turns out to be a challenge.
Do it again.
The second hit releases the shield, but Andre barely saw it through his visor. So he wants to see the instant replay.
Here we go, start of the round. Yeah, that's not, no. Too much work into this for that.
Yeah.
We need to have it go over the head.
The team tries again, but the shield flies no higher than before. Andre is too exhausted for another attempt.
That was the single hardest thing I've ever done jousting.
For Andre, the riddle is why the shield didn't fly higher.
The breastplate worked really well. The breastplate's only 1/3 of the entire assembly. So the next step is to recreate the shield and the lance. The challenge is there's none left in the world to go by. There's no drawings really of them. So it'll be an uphill battle, but we'll make it. Make fire.
Andre and his team get back to work with a new respect for Maximilian's engineers. They realize that, armed with all the right combination of equipment, Maximilian's knights would have produced an impact that looked more like this. And won Maximilian a well-deserved reputation as the host with the most. At Vienna's Kunsthistorisches Museum on the morning of May 11th, 2003, security staff reported that there had been a break-in during the night.
I went into the gallery. I saw this broken showcase, the empty showcase, and I just had to burst in tears. This was an incredible catastrophe.
Missing was a gold statue known as the Saliera, valued at 58 million US dollars. This museum's secret is about how to catch a thief.
It was a huge story in the public in Austria. It's a piece of, like, of the soul of this country, and it was gone.
The Vienna police assigned the case to their chief investigator, Detective Ernst Geiger.
The day the crime was committed, the scaffold was like this. So the offender could climb to the window where it was. Here's the window. He activated the alarm system. From now on, every second counted for our offender. So he hurried there, smashed the glass, put out the Saliera, and went back this way, jumped up to the window, and escaped outside.
Geiger noticed that the gallery was filled with priceless Raphaels.
We asked ourselves, why didn't he steal them, just took out the Saliera?
The most likely reason was that the Saliera is made of gold, easy to melt down and sell.
Since we didn't know who he was, we didn't know how he ticked in the end, so we were very worried that he might destroy it.
But Geiger had a hunch the thief knew the Saliera was more valuable intact.
We thought somebody who knew about the uniqueness and the importance of the Saliera had stolen it.
The Saliera is the only surviving gold sculpture by Benvenuto Cellini, a prominent Italian artist of the 16th century. Famous for his creative genius and his impulsive behavior. During the sack of Rome, he was accused of stealing the Pope's jewels and hiding them. But whoever stole Cellini's masterpiece had something else in mind. Museum officials received a letter demanding a ransom of $5.5 million US dollars and warning them to keep it hush-hush.
It was clear it was an art naping case.
But before the police could act, the thief's letter was leaked to the press.
From that moment on, there was nothing. There was nothing. He didn't answer. He didn't write another letter. All the communication stopped.
Weeks passed, then months.
Every single day in such a situation seems to be a very long time. I personally thought about that every day.
It was just gone, no trace. People believed maybe it's destroyed, maybe it appears somewhere on the black market. The police said they are close to the solution. They're gonna get him soon. But they did not do it for years.
In October 2005, nearly 2 years later, we heard again from our offender.
The thief's second letter offered proof that he still had the Saliera. It directed police to a spot near a statue of Mozart, just a stone's throw from the museum. Geiger felt the thief was playing with him, and perhaps even watching him. This time there would be no leaks to the press.
We did it very secretly, not with many policemen, only plainclothes men. They looked around. They found it here behind.
The package contained a small gold trident. The thief had pried it from Neptune's hand.
All of a sudden we realized there was the big chance that we might see the object again.
A week later, the thief sent a text message from a cell phone that had been modified to be untraceable. He had doubled the ransom to $12 million and wanted it delivered by courier in exchange for the Saliera. Geiger sent a courier to the specified location, but with no money in his knapsack. Police followed at a discreet distance, ready to pounce. The thief didn't appear. He sent another untraceable message with a new destination. And then several more.
These instructions were a kind of wild goose chase.
At the last location, there was a long interval before a message arrived. And when it did, the thief was angry.
The message said, against his instruction, police was involved, and therefore he stopped it, and now he will destroy the Saliera.
It seemed that the world would be robbed of Cellini's genius, and Geiger would never catch the brazen thief. Unfazed by setbacks, Geiger had the last message analyzed. This time, the thief slipped up. He used a cell phone with a traceable ID number.
He had no more prepared cell phone. So he had to buy one more cell phone.
Geiger traced the phone to this shop. The store had a camera trained on the checkout counter. When these security images were broadcast by the media, they elicited an immediate response.
A man phoned the police and said, I'm the man on the photo, but it's a mistake. I didn't have nothing to do with the Saliera case.
Robert Mang had no criminal record or obvious motive. But his job was designing security systems. So he would have known how to get past the one in the museum. At Mang's home, Geiger discovered the first draft of a ransom note. Confronted with this evidence, Mang led police to a wooded area. Buried underground was a lead box containing Cellini's masterpiece.
So the Saliera was back, a piece of Austria was back, and Mr. Geiger was honored in the parliament as a hero.
Many wondered why a previously honest man would commit such an outrageous crime.
This was a very, very strange situation, knowing that Cellini was such an outrageous character. I had the feeling that maybe the thief wanted to be the Cellini of our times.
When Cellini was arrested, he refused to admit he had stolen the Pope's jewels, even under torture. And one night, he made a daring escape. By contrast, Robert Mang pleaded guilty and would not get away. Instead of achieving the fame of a Cellini, he ensured the fame of a Cellini masterpiece.
Until this very moment, only a handful of people in Austria knew about the Saliera. But from this day on, everybody knows.
For hundreds of years, Europe was on the gold standard. So if you were a king who wanted his face on a gold coin, you had to have some gold in your treasury. In 1677, Austria's Emperor Leopold ran out.
Leopold was in a terrible financial situation because of the extremely expensive war against the Turks. So he needed a lot of money just to pay his troops.
Then one day in November, a stranger arrived at the palace with an offer to solve the king's money problems for good. He said he would turn silver into gold, and then tell the emperor the secret for a price. The cash-strapped emperor agreed. According to all accounts, there was no sleight of hand. A silver medallion changed, as if by magic, into gold. You might think alchemy can't be real, but the gold medallion created by the alchemist is in the Kunsthistorisches museum.
It's more than 7 kilos of gold. So it's the biggest gold medallion ever cast in the world.
How did the alchemist do it? This might be our most valuable museum secret. The mystery fascinates archaeologist Marcos Martino Torres.
We know from the texts that this medallion was transmuted in front of the very emperor. So how is it that they did that transmutation? Hopefully we can now find an answer to that question.
The first thing Marcos would like to know is the purity of the gold in the medallion. Museum staff can't provide a definitive answer without damaging it. But a non-invasive X-ray proves that gold is definitely present. How did the alchemists do it? To look for the answer, Marcos travels 40 kilometers north of the museum. Here he meets archaeologist Sigrid van Osten, who has uncovered evidence of an alchemist's workshop in a 16th century church. Alchemists were Christian mystics, seekers of the legendary philosopher's stone, the power to turn base metal into gold. But in the back room is proof that they did not put their faith in God alone.
Well, should we go inside? I can't wait.
Yeah.
Several years ago, Sigrid made an amazing discovery beneath the floor.
So this is where it all happened. This is where you found this equipment.
It's only a little part of the materials. We have more than 1,000 objects.
1,000 objects. They've got an assortment of material, every one of them very specialized for a specific technical function. You just have to have a look at this to see they knew a lot of science, don't they?
This laboratory was a high-tech.
Much of this equipment would look at home in a modern chemistry lab.
When people at the street think about alchemy, of course, they immediately think of Harry Potter. We've tended to regard alchemists as wizards and obscure philosophers. But these alchemists knew a lot more science than we credit them for. It was very much about trial and error, experimentation.
So alchemists were really early chemists, including the alchemist at Leopold's court. Marcos thinks he changed silver into gold using a trick that only a chemist would know. He believes the alchemist's original medallion was not pure silver, but a material much like this, forged in a modern lab by jeweler Jamie Hall.
Well, although it looks entirely silver, there's 30% gold in this. I don't think anyone would realise it was in there.
So it's roughly 70% silver, 30% gold. It looks very silver.
And if the alchemist started with silver that contains gold, Marcos may know what chemical was in his vat.
I've been looking into what may have been available to a 17th century alchemist, and I think the most plausible reagent would be nitric acid.
Alchemists called it aqua fortis.
The name aqua fortis says it all. It's so fortis, so strong, that it dissolves anything you put in it, anything except for gold. So we've got everything we need except for an emperor. You can see it's turning dark immediately. It's obviously attacking the silver.
After about 3 minutes, Marcos removes the medallion from the acid.
It's gone totally black. It doesn't look like gold. Let's hope we can actually do something to it. So we have to rinse it quite well so that the reaction doesn't continue. It certainly looks different, but not quite golden as we would hope.
Yeah, so it still isn't taking much off, so what we're going to have to do is use a brass brush.
Now that is looking very impressive.
Now that really does start to look golden, doesn't it?
I think we've transmuted our medallion.
Yeah, and we could be millionaires.
Marcos is sure that the alchemist performed the same chemistry trick for the emperor. And because it was really just a trick, it couldn't solve Leopold's money problems. Regaining the Habsburg family fortune would be up to his granddaughter Maria Theresa, who employed an even more magical way to get rich quick. She printed paper money. Inside the Kunsthistorisches museum, what medieval artifacts are made of reveals the era's pecking order. For the lowly foot soldier, wood and iron. For noble knights, the finest steel. Kings are worthy of gold, and so it seems is a falcon. Hunting game with birds of prey was the noblest of pastimes.
It's very noble because you put your will to a living animal and he's doing the hunting for yourself.
A knight might hunt with a Harris hawk, while barons favored the Eurasian owl. But only this bird is fit for a king. And modern falconer Dan Frankian knows why.
Gyrfalcons are basically the epitome of falcon. They are by far the top end of the top end. They're like driving a Ferrari. They are unbelievably quick and fast.
No king in history enjoyed falconry more than Frederick II, who was crowned Holy Roman Emperor in 1220. Frederick's love for falcons would help to bring an end to the Dark Ages. The reason why is a museum secret. Frederick came to power in an era when the church decreed that the sun went around the earth, and science was akin to heresy. Asking questions about the universe could get you burned at the stake. Even emperors were advised to follow the old ways, even in the sport of falconry. Like all medieval falconers, Frederick calmed his captured birds by sealing up their eyes.
Using a needle, they would take the bottom lid of the falcon and the top lid, put a little tiny hole in it, and put the two lids together. Now that these days is totally unnecessary and a lot of people consider it barbaric.
The same might be said for the way Frederick trained his falcons to hunt for him. He lured them with live birds tied to a string.
And that's where you would tie it up and then you could swing it. And the falcon will see that it's a bird in distress and they will go right for it.
After months of training, the falcon would attack on command. In 1226, Frederick was pulled away from his favorite sport when the Pope ordered him to lead a crusade. There had been several previous attempts to take Jerusalem for Christendom. All had failed. But as Holy Roman Emperor, it was Frederick's duty to try again.
He landed with an army in Palestine, but didn't fight any battle. He started to negotiate.
During the diplomatic talks, Frederick became fascinated by what the Arabs showed him. Astronomy and engineering far in advance of anything in Europe. Frederick soon realized why they were ahead. They asked questions and then tested them, what we would call the scientific method. Frederick also discovered a shared interest.
In the Arabic culture, falcon hunting played an important role and still plays an important role. If you go to the Emirates, you see lots of sultans hunting with falcons.
For both Frederick and the Sultan, falconry was much more than a sport.
The bond that you have between a bird of prey and yourself is very similar that you have with a dog, but you can't hug this. But once both of those eyes lock onto you, it's beautiful.
Frederick noticed that the Arabs trained their birds a little differently. For one thing, they didn't seal their eyes with thread.
Originally, the Arabs developed the hood to replace the sealing because they thought it wasn't such a wonderful idea.
Frederick tried the Arab method, and he tried the Arab way of questioning things.
So it goes on in this way. I'm going to 1, 2, 3, do it, like that.
He tested the hood and found it to be superior. Frederick also noticed that Arabs didn't need live birds for bait. Making a lure from the wings and meat of the prey worked just as well.
It's supposed to follow what it is that the falcon is going to be chasing in a natural environment.
Frederick tested this Arab technique and many others. His interest in Arab falconry and science created an atmosphere of mutual respect between the two leaders.
And this enabled them to negotiate a solution which was good for both sides. And this was that the Sultan of Egypt would give Jerusalem to the emperor, and the emperor wouldn't attack Egypt.
With the Sultan's blessing, Frederick was crowned the King of Jerusalem. His was the first and only bloodless crusade. When he returned to Europe, he published the results of his falcon experiments.
It's the first treatise on falconry. It's kind of what we refer back to. That's very important. I mean, it's the Bible.
Frederick's book revolutionized European falconry and transmitted the scientific method from the Islamic world to Christendom, where it would influence visionaries like Galileo and Leonardo da Vinci. The church was not pleased, but it was too late. Frederick and his beloved falcons had already helped bring light into the Dark Ages. Inside the Kunsthistorisches Museum is a violin that was made to play the music that Vienna is famous for, the waltz. This sublime waltz melody, the Blue Danube by Johann Strauss, has become a familiar fixture at many formal occasions. Today, we rarely dance the waltz except to observe archaic traditions. But if you think the waltz is tame or boring, it isn't. The truth about the waltz and how it changed the world is our museum's secret. The story begins at the end of the 18th century, when all of Europe was engulfed by war, and Austria had fallen on hard times.
It was a poor time, very poor time. People lost a lot of members of their family, soldiers who died in the battles, who were injured.
Peter Widholz is a professional tenor and president of the Johann Strauss Society.
There was no time in Austrian history which was too sad for the people to forget music and to forget to dance. Music helped the Austrians always to survive.
To take their minds off the carnage, Austrian nobles danced the minuet, bowing and curtsying to each other as they had done for centuries. But in the countryside, commoners were inventing some brand new dance moves. To understand what was new about them, we need to take it step by step.
Now you will see the way they are standing already. The lady is slightly to the left, and she looks to the left. That's very important. And then all you have to do is repeat 6 steps all the time.
Thomas Schäfer-Ellmeyer runs Vienna's top dance academy. Vanessa and Peter have never danced the waltz before.
Gentleman starts right foot forward, lady left foot back.
In contrast to the minuet, waltzing couples never change partners, and they stay much closer together.
The men must touch the women not only with the fingers on their hand, but also at their waist. Yeah, there is more contact with the body of the woman. When you dance very quickly a waltz, then could be that the dress of the lady comes a little bit up. And then could be that you can see her ankle or maybe her calf.
In the 18th century, such wanton displays were frowned on.
And to that time, it was nearly a scandal.
So the church was not in favor of it, and the rulers were not in favor of it. The church very often was against things that gave the people a lot of fun.
And so Europe's straight-laced nobles stuck with the minuet throughout the long war and into an era when all of Europe longed for peace. In 1814, Emperor Francis I of Austria decided to try something new.
He invited all the princes and kings and also the Tsar of Russia to come to Vienna to find a treaty and to draw new borders for Europe.
As the nobles negotiated in this palace, the halls echoed with shouts and accusations. After long days of acrimony, they were eager to unwind.
The plan of the emperor during the Viennese Congress was to make a lot of amusements for the European kings and princes. There were a lot of balls and concerts and different events in Vienna.
It so happened that Vienna was the only European capital where dance halls allowed the waltz. When the nobles saw it, they wanted to try it.
The kings and the princes and all the aristocratic society find the love for that dance. They enjoyed it.
And once they started waltzing, they felt a new sensation.
So what sensation did you get when you were waltzing?
I mean, I think it's going very fast, and you see all around moving. So it's really like you feel in another place.
Do you remember on the playgrounds when you were very young and you had those things where you could put yourself onto and turn around? Pretty much like this.
Pretty much like this, yeah.
It is the most exciting experience that you can have when you are dancing, because you are floating across the floor. And it's really giving you some feeling like you are a little bit high.
After the nobles experienced the waltz, the mood of the negotiations changed.
The Prince de Ligne was asked, how is the Congress going? And he said, Congress is not going, it's dancing. Dancing certainly contributed to an atmosphere where the people were able to make decisions without hatred.
The Congress of Vienna produced a peace agreement, and the nobles went home to teach their nations the waltz.
The waltz became a dance which was accepted by the noble society and could be danced by everyone.
In the decades to come, the Vienna waltz would become wildly popular throughout Europe, propelled by the seductive waltz melodies of Johann Strauss.
Once a journalist attended a ball, and he saw how much the young people were excited by the music of Johann Strauss, how they danced. And he went home and wrote on the next day in the journal how many children must be grateful to Johann Strauss that they exist, because after such a ball, young babies were produced by the excited parents.
So the church had it right all along. You never know what will happen when a couple starts to waltz. It is often said that family is the most important thing. But to the family whose wealth and power are on display in the Kunsthistorisches Museum, it was everything. The Habsburg family, with branches in Austria and Spain, believed they were God's gift.
It constructed genealogies back to Julius Caesar, of course, but also back to the ancient Jewish kings, to David and Solomon and so on.
Historian Karl Vexelka believes the Habsburg used religious relics to cement their hold on power. They laid claim to this lance, said to have pierced Christ on the cross, to prove to themselves and others that their family was blessed by the Lord.
The Habsburg themselves were very convinced that they are the best ruling family ever. Full stop.
But as everyone knows, pride comes before a fall. In the heart of Vienna, underneath an ancient monastery, is a vast crypt containing 13 generations of Habsburg emperors. All of us have to go sometime, but the dates on these coffins reveal something surprising. Many are from the 18th century, fewer from the 19th, and only a handful date from the 20th century. What happened to the Habsburgs? That is our museum's secret. Francisco Ceballos believes there are clues in the picture gallery, starting with this likeness of King Carlos II.
Carlos II no sufrió muchos desórdenes a lo largo de su vida. No pudo hablar hasta que tenía 4 años y no pudo caminar hasta los 8.
The king's priests thought he was bewitched. As a geneticist, Francisco thinks otherwise.
Sus padres estaban relacionados a un nivel de tío y sobrina. Sus abuelos estaban relacionados como primos hermanos. Y sus bisabuelos otra vez como tío y sobrina. Entonces,
today we know that inbreeding can cause unhealthy traits to build up in DNA, but the Habsburgs didn't. In fact, they thought marrying within their family would strengthen the royal bloodline.
The Habsburgs had a very strict rule who is possible partner for a female or male Habsburg. They have to come out of a former ruling family or of some clearly defined aristocratic families that were seen as equal.
As their family tree grew in on itself, genetic problems became visible in the facial deformity now known as the Habsburg jaw. But their most severe problem cannot be seen. In the family crypt, tracing the genealogy reveals that many Habsburgs died without producing children. The family was dying out, and they knew it. They prayed to God to lift the curse that had befallen them. And then in 1651, this little girl was born.
Here we have 3 portraits of Margarita Teresa. She was a perfectly normal girl. She was intelligent and beautiful.
At the age of 15, Margarita married another healthy Habsburg, her uncle, Emperor Leopold I. The family was certain these noble equals would produce a healthy heir. Her first child lived just 1 year. Her second child survived, but died young. Her next 2 children were born with serious genetic abnormalities. Both died in infancy. Margarita herself would die in pregnancy when she was only 21. In the centuries that followed, the Habsburgs would avert extinction when a few broke with tradition to marry outside the family. The last claimant to the throne, Otto von Habsburg, was just a child during World War I, when Habsburg power was crushed on the battlefield. He died in 2011 as a private citizen, at the ripe old age of 98. His funeral procession through Vienna attracted 100,000 people, a testament to the abiding power of the Habsburg name in the Austrian imagination. 500 years after their empire began, Otto was laid to rest among his ancestors. Perhaps in the hereafter, he'll wear a crown. In this museum filled with the Habsburgs' greatest treasures, for every mystery we reveal, far more must remain unspoken. Secrets of wealth and power, and of the human heart. Hidden in plain sight, inside the Kunsthistorisches Museum.